So this is Janis, and I'm sitting in my very warm living room because I've turned the fan off so that we can hear Al. It doesn't really matter if you hear me. It's important that we hear Al this morning. So I want to start off with giving you the opportunity, Al, just like I normally do on my radio show, actually. That's the way I'm going to go. Is who do you think you are today? Or who do you think you are?
Well, that's an interesting. I have to put my my cup of coffee down to answer that. I'm somebody that tries to help people. I, selfishly receive great blessings, gifts, pleasure, I suppose, from a sense of well-being from trying to help people lead better lives, and that takes form from, in I suppose, three different ways. One, working with people who are in a bad place and want to be normal, whatever that is. People who are
Don't make it normal.
Well, that's what I tell them. And then it's working with people who are doing okay but want a bit of clarity, focus, want to do better and go on to live better lives. And then the third kind of thing I do is doing working with people who are either business people or sports people or normal human beings that want better performance in one area of their life as well. So there's sort of like three columns to my work, but that's the three columns.
Something. I have to interrupt you. Are you defining who you are by your work? I have to.
Yeah, I do define myself to some extent by my work. Yeah, absolutely, because it helps me give a sense of who I am. It's not the only thing that I define my work. I suppose my work doesn't define me, but
what else defines you as a man, as a human being on planet Earth?
Well, I've got a certain code of conduct that I think we've spoken about previously that I'm driven by, that I adhere to. That's a very old-fashioned code of chivalry, really. Which is to the short answer is to help other people, to uplift the downtrodden, and to spread a message of honor, respect, and love to people.
So all the ladies in the house that listen to me are going to go, oh my God, let's go check out this Al, because he mentioned the word chivalry and a code of conduct. So there.
Well, it's important to me, and I think that I'm not saying it's necessarily dying. I'm just grabbing something to hold. I'm not saying it's necessarily a dying thing, but it's less commonplace than I personally think it should be. That people treat each other with respect, love, and try and, instead of doing each other over, should be trying to uplift each other.
It's kind of got lost in translation a bit, hasn't it? So I want to go back, to go forward. So when I do my radio show, I always ask people that question, because I always find it really interesting, because people will say, well, I'm a man, I'm a geography teacher, I'm a this, and I'm a that. And I'm like, no, who are you really? So you gave us much more depth about who you are. And because you gave us that depth, it kind of leads nicely to what we want to talk about today, which is purpose. And I always think, if you say to somebody, if someone says to me still, what's my life purpose? It's Janis here, so I can say, I don't fucking know. I'm just doing what I'm doing in the best way that I think I can, which I think is my purpose, which is just share as much of my understanding and my knowledge and my learning with people to help them live a better life. So that's kind of it. But if we actually just say to someone, what's your life purpose? A lot of people will go, what do you mean? So I quite often will say, if I've got a gun to your head and you have to go out every single day to maybe earn money to put food on the table or whatever, but you've got to go out every single day, what wouldn't you mind doing? What do you think about?
Are you asking me that?
Well, I could be asking you that, yeah, but I think you're doing it already, right? If you ask some of your clients, what would they say?
hopefully that I'm helping them. I certainly feel like that I am living a purposeful life. I am trying to help people. I'm not perfect. I don't, I'm not someone who sees himself sitting on top of a mountain espousing wisdom, but I try and help people.
You're more
That's
like,
all.
you're more like the
And
man who, sorry, I've got to say this because you gave a great thing there. You're not sitting on the top of the mountain. You're the man who's bringing the mountain down to the people so that they can see that they can scale it. That's what I got.
well, I have broad shoulders, but I don't know if they're mountain broad. But yeah. So and I guess I feel like I wake up every day and I look at my schedule and I've got like a busy day and a ton of people to see and speak to, and I know I'm living with purpose because I sort of go, oh wow, it's going to be a challenging day, but it's going to be great, as opposed to, which I've done in basically every other job I've ever done. It's just like, oh God, why am I doing this? I never ask the why, because I know why I'm here. And I think if that, like one check, one validation to know, to check whether you are on purpose, is, can you answer, do you know why you're here? And it might not be something that you necessarily verbalize, maybe just a felt sense. But if you know it in your, your head, your heart, your gut, your balls, if you're a man, then you'll know that you're on purpose. And if you are, then keep cruising in the same direction.
Okay.
Or
find the direction. So I'm gonna back up in some of that statement, because you talked about you feel it. So me and you and what we do, we're really good at feeling, right? We really get that we have a thought, and that's an abstract kind of thing, but we also understand that that thought creates a feeling in us that then generates a behavior. So putting you on the spot a little bit for anyone that's listening, if someone is listening to this now and the first thing they do is go, well, I know I think that. What do you mean? Feel it. What do you mean? How would you start to explain to somebody how to feel their thoughts more, so that they get that feedback of either, oh my God, that makes me feel light, that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel good, or, oh, like, get me out of here? How did they start to get into tune to feel their thoughts that creates the behavior? Big question.
So they have to, no, it's easy, it's fine. So they have to actually spend some time, be diligent in actively placing their awareness on their feelings, on their internal world, because you've got the external world and we've got the internal world. And I don't mean that to sound sort of esoteric and, mumbo jumbo-y. I just like, you've got thoughts, feelings, emotions, and you've got the external world, which is all that other happy mess. And so it's about, if they don't know what that means, it's like, well, have you ever done it? Have you ever sat down and when you feel a feeling, actually take time to be present with that feeling, whether it's good or bad, and notice what comes up, notice what thoughts come up as a result of that. And then when you think those thoughts, let's say if they're a positive thing, let's say they're something that's related to finding purpose or something like that, if you notice, which is basically, an abstraction and an extraction of the emotion of like, well, how does that make me feel? Oh, it makes me feel like this, this, and this. That's when you're categorizing your experience. And then knowing that, you can go, well, I got that because I helped the old lady across the street. I know what, I help more old ladies across the street. And then by doing that, you're effectively building your ability to pay attention to the feedback that you're getting, and you're enhancing your skill of being aware of your own experience, because everything is skill driven. It's all like, it's not something that's magical, or you have to sit in a bloody cave for years. It's like, that'd be boring for starters. But I mean, it depends whether you had some things that you liked in the cave. But anyway, but it's about where are you placing your attention? It comes down to that. And if you're, oh, I don't feel things, well, have you even ever practiced feeling things?
So basically, I'm going to try and make that a little bit concise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If they open their awareness and they sit with a thought, they can calibrate to their feelings, and then they could even log that in case they lose it and they're not used to paying attention to it, right? So that they could look back at it. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about self-authoring. Self-authoring is a great tool. Actually, writing down what your thoughts are, whether they're good, whether they're bad, and just logging them. And that's not a negative thing, and that's not a positive thing. It's just a method of recording, like a transcript of your thought process, because you might have some gold in there and you might have some crap. And the trouble is that if we walk around with these lofty ideas or negative ideas or whatever they are, they'll stay in our head rather than getting them out on paper where we can actually get a bit of perspective by looking at it and going, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea, that's an amazing idea. Wow, I hope I never even ever do that, because that'll get me locked up in prison or whatever. So it creates another level of perspective where you and mental process. So yeah.
So basically, opening up the awareness channel is opening the person up to start to look for the sense of purpose potentially. I'm gonna add something in briefly because I think it's of value. So you talked about authoring and writing. I had a client earlier this week that I dropped in at the end of a really good session. Oh yeah, by the way, for the next 7 days, you need to just video your conversations with yourself 5 minutes a day. And she was absolutely horrified. And I said, well, it will be really awesome because you'll see yourself in a way that you don't see yourself. And I want you to just be open and raw with that conversation that you're having for yourself, that you're going to look back at to gain understanding about how you show up in the world. Some of the things that you think you're thinking, some of the, oh, fuck, I didn't even know I even thought that. What am I doing? Or equally, wow, that's kind of cool. And then I actually said to her, and you have to send them to me as an accountability tool every day. Yet equally, if you send it to me and tell me I've got to delete it and not watch it, I will just delete it because I still want them to have the accountability for self. And I think doing that work on ourselves is key to everything that you and I do every single day, to have that ability. So we're aware of our failings, our less thans, yet we're also really aware of, oh my God, sometimes I can listen back to myself and think, fuck, I should listen to her more, she knows what she's saying. And that's what we need our people to get, and everyone that's listening, so that they can go, yeah, okay, I'm good at that.
I think that's the great tool. And I mean, I did a similar thing. I might have told you this. I think I did. Where about a year ago, it might even be 2 years ago now, I think it was. I was trying to sort of do more video stuff, and I would just absolutely cringe when I'd look at myself on camera and listen to my voice. I'm like, my voice sounds terrible and I look awful, and I just felt awful in front of a camera. And so I sort of said, okay, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself broadcast a live video of around 10 minutes every day, 5 days a week, until I decide not to do it. And I did that for about I made about 100 videos, so I was doing that sort of 5 times a week, so that there wouldn't be a day that I'd miss. I made and some of them are terrible, and some of them were the content, because I'd have to think, I'd rack my brains, I put myself under pressure, so it helped my creativity muscle as well. And so but at the end of it, and I don't care about being on camera anymore. That's the long and the short of it. And I'm not saying I love myself on camera or I think I sound great. But
It's okay.
I don't care. I don't care about it. You know, it's just like, you know, I'm not going to change my face. I'm not going to change my voice. It is what it is. So
It's
nobody else gives a shit about it. So why should I?
absolutely. It's a really good way of seeing yourself through the eyes potentially of other people seeing you. And because,
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you, in case people are listening, they don't know my radio show. When I first started doing that, I was like, well, why should I have a radio show? How can that be? And then it was this open remit to do whatever I wanted to. And then my person, my mentor, called Mitzi, not a dog, a beautiful lady, she said, right, listen to your show every week, Janis, after the show. And at the beginning, it was like, oh man, I feel really uncomfortable. And then I just got really comfortable with it. And then it was like, okay,
yeah.
It taught me about myself. So my thing with the clients is if they do that, and I've been doing that for maybe 3 or 4 years with clients, if I feel they'll benefit from it, it's because you can go back and you can look at something you recorded 2 months ago and think, wow, was I really thinking that and feeling that right then? And it's the feelings that often comes through in these. So maybe the audience listening might have a little go at themselves doing that for a while, just to see, and also to see that in that time maybe they could spend time talking about purpose and what they think their purpose is. That might be interesting. I wonder if I wonder if I do that for myself later, I'll come up with a bigger sense of purpose. Maybe I'll try. Yeah, what's your purpose?
I mean, if this goes out on YouTube, which you should be putting out on YouTube, you know, it's something for viewers to say, oh, you know, like to maybe write down what you know in the comments what their definition of purpose is, and to sort of like share that with other people that are watching the video. I think that'd be really useful. You know, I don't see these exercises as some sort of like bloody PR project. I see them as a genuine exploration. Like, let's see if we can find something out. And to think that just you and I hold the keys to a definition or you know the depth of what something means is just nonsense. You know, I'm up for sort of like recruiting the hive mind and getting everyone. You know, like, look, please, like, you've got something that you might think is just, well, of course it's like that. And like, if I hear that, that might be like, oh my God, it's liquid gold or audio gold or whatever. So, yeah, I'm very much into that, you know, sort of that group think, I guess.
Well, one of us is not as smart as all of us, as long as we're not listening to the government. Oh, did I say that? Sorry. Take that back, not.
You rebel, you.
Yeah, I mean, it's this collective consciousness, the collective mind together and sharing together. So, can I ask you how long it took you to find your purpose? To get to this place? How many years walking through the land of all these other things that you did to find the space that held you in this is what I'm here for?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, I've been doing this sort of 12 plus years, and I have had a strong sense of purpose for, I guess, nearly a decade. I guess for the first couple of years, maybe I didn't have a suit. I always knew it was something that I wanted to do. I always knew it was something that, when I say always, I don't mean always, but for many years, I knew it was something that I wanted to do. When I last worked here for a company per se, where I sort of turn up, you know, and it's like a rubber desk Johnny, then I actually went to the point of decreasing my days because I wanted to transition to this. And events came about that actually got really accelerated. But so it is always, you know, for maybe, I suppose, a strong sense of purpose over the last certainly decade, but it's always been an underlying drive since at least 20 years, I guess. Yeah, now how I came upon it, I don't know, but things just sort of fitted into place, and And I think that it's one thing I would say about purpose. There was one thing that I did want to say about purpose, and I really like your input on this. That just because you have a purpose, don't dare think that it's going to be easy. If you think that having it will make things easier, but your purpose should be greater than self. You know, it shouldn't just be about you. You know, you are almost like the weapon, or you're the vehicle, but the actual purpose should be about others. That's certainly my code, and the way I see things is that it shouldn't be about you. It should be through you that that something other than self is achieved. Whether that's writing books for kids, whether that's, you know, working in a nursing home for old people that have got dementia, whatever that is, it shouldn't be about you. It should use you and go through you, and you become like the tool for it, like the channel for it. But and of course you're going to benefit, of course you are, but really it should be greater than self. You know, I think I've been saying this week to people that I've been working with, that if you look at greatness, for me, and my understanding of greatness is, if somebody is a great person, that means that they've done things for other people. If you look at a great basketballer, you know, then that's like they're great at what they do, but by being that person, they have then inspired other people. They've set the bar for other people to try and write. So they're actually elevating people. You know, whether it's directly or indirectly. And so, so I think that it's about greater than self. But getting back to what I was saying initially, which was, it should be an almost insurmountable task. It should be something that causes you pressure, and not pressure and stress, but it should be bloody difficult. Because if it's easy, then what was the point? You know, it should be a quest. It should be a quest.
A quest. So it's
That's my opinion.
It's almost like the hero's journey, and I want to go back to some of those points for anyone who's listening, thinking potentially, oh fuck, because part of what might be construed, depending how people are thinking from what you're saying, is this thing has to be so out there that people are seeing it and knowing that it's you doing it. So if I'm just
not really.
No, well, it's the way people think, though. They'll listen to that.
Right, yeah.
It's got to be bigger than me, and it's got to be greater than me, and it's not just about me, but it needs to be validated potentially by other people. Now, we work in a world where we're kind of saying fuck other people's validation to a degree, right? So if I want to be, oh me Janis, which I'm going to be, and all I want to do for my life's purpose is sit at home and crochet blankets for a baby, and I decide that's my purpose, is that okay?
Well, you look at what you've said. You've said crochet blankets for a baby. So other people, other life forms are going to benefit from your travails. So yes, of course that's okay.
Cool.
Yeah, what a lovely thing. You're creating something which is going to protect and nurture another living being. Like, what else do you want? What else do you want?
See, I love that, because potentially what people can do is get caught up in this, you know, this, when we say life purpose, it seems such a big thing, because it really, to a degree, if we live our life's purpose, we could then ultimately be asking, well, what's your legacy when you check out? And if you get too caught up in those big themes, it could potentially stop you. Your purpose might be, or someone's purpose might be, to be the most amazing mother at home and make those choices. And that is your life's purpose, to be the best mother. And I think it's really important when I'm sharing with others, and I think you would share this, that it doesn't your life's purpose might not be something that gives you a monetary return either. It might just be, bit of my life's purpose here is helping rescue dogs and cats that are starving and being beaten up. Doesn't give me any monetary return, but man, it gives purpose to my life if I can walk up the road. And I'm surprised one of the boys hasn't come to say hello yet, as in the cats. Do you know what I mean? That's purpose. That's something that drives me and feeds all of those things. So I think there is a differentiation to be made so that people get this fully that life purpose doesn't necessarily mean monetary return. If we're really lucky, and like you and me, we find ourselves doing our life's purpose and we get paid twice, that's cool. Aren't we lucky?
I've had many sessions where I have just forgot to, this is when I was doing, one-to-one live sessions, which, hopefully some bloody month in the future,
One day.
I'm going to be doing. But, I would even forget to ask for payment, because that's not where my heart or mind is, and that's not because I was so super excited and full of joy, but it's like, that's not that's like that's like an exchange. That's not the reason why I'm doing it. The reason why I'm doing it is to hopefully help make a difference in somebody else's life. So
it's the energy exchange that we get paid for as well. But I always say to people, certainly, and I think you'll think the same, every time that we work with another human being, they gift us the ability to work in a different way with the next person. Because so actually we're getting paid in like triplicate ways. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes
for sure.
money is just the nice thing that pays the lecky bill or something like that.
Yeah,
we're getting all this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to go back a little bit, to go forward with purpose, if someone is thinking, okay, well, how do I find my purpose? Is there or are there some tips that maybe you can share that you haven't already shared? Because you've already shared a bunch, and it has made me think that what we'll do when this goes out, we'll put some notes together. Maybe we'll put some little exercises for people to do as well. So it can be very open for the dialogue. But, how does someone set about finding their purpose in a tangible way that they can take and say, right, Al's mentioned X, Y, Z. And if I do X, Y, Z, maybe I'll be a little bit more clear on what I think my purpose is.
Right. Okay. So first things first, I'd say, well, the most obvious thing is have they got any existing drives? Have they got any? And by drives, I don't necessarily mean ambitions. I mean, have they got any things within them that historically that they've done that, like, God, that really gave me a good feeling. And that's a clue. If they get that kind of like, God, I've got a really, when I, went on the home run and I was, helping feed homeless people or spending time with them or helping out at a local community centre doing X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that they were doing, if there's something that they've historically done that has given them a sense of well-being, I would say that's a strong clue. Now, it might not be, so if you've got many clues like that, then it's about, well, do some more of that activity. Do some more of all those activities, and notice what feedback you get within yourself. Notice how you feel as a result of that. And
write it down.
Yeah, write it down or just keep a note, keep a note somehow, whether it's in your phone or you write it down and just keep a note of what that's like. And then think, okay, well, is that something that you want to pursue? Yes, no, or well, no, because I think long-term it might cause me stress or whatever. And so you need to have that sort of discussion with yourself. So, and thinking about logistics as well. It doesn't have to sort of stay esoteric and mystical and conceptual and, it's my purpose, it's my quest. And, it's like, well, okay, but if it involves loads of travel, like, are you prepared to do that long term? So you've got to think long term about those things and include things like logistics. Well, it would mean time away from my family. I don't know. For some people that would be the right thing. For some people it won't be the right thing. So these are all things that you have to sort of weigh out. Then look at your skill set. Your skill set towards a certain thing. What are your skills? What are your skills and what are your abilities? And what are you? What do you think you're capable of? Just in the cold light of day, can any of those skills be trained? Can they be increased? Can you learn to do things which would feed in towards something that you love to do, that benefits yourself and other people? Then think, well, okay, well then also, what are my beliefs around that? I could never do that. Okay, all right. Well, when somebody says they could never do that, what that actually means is they really don't want to do that, or they lack confidence to do that. And it often means that they haven't had exposure and they haven't been put into that position where they've had to do it. You know, and so that's usually a glass ceiling. It's like a false ceiling that people sort of create to keep themselves in their comfort zones, which obviously is, you know, as anyone that's read any bloody self-help book will know, that you're not going to grow necessarily very well in your comfort zone. You've got to put yourself out there. So looking at what your beliefs are and what you choose to believe about that, that certain thing, or certain, you know, cadre of things that could potentially lead you to a sense of purpose, you know, will help flesh out that, you know, that roadmap that you need to. After that, I'd say, well, look at what are your values, and you know, what's your truth, what's important for you, what do you know? Like, I know that you know, that I would do anything for my family. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Okay, so if it's true, you know, would you know, is it something that would that help shape something that you do? You know, what are you really sort of passionate about? You know, if there's, so really just doing an internal inquiry with some of those sort of ideas, and then I mean, this is an exercise that I do, is that I'll go, okay, well, if you were stepping into a spot that was basically like, how can I put it, like an open channel to anything that you believe in, whether it's God, whether it's a sense of dharma, you know, a sense of purpose. If you were going to step into that spot, and if you were going to you know, just receive a download for that, and just be prepared to wait and not engage this and not engage this, but just be present and wait, you know, putting yourself in almost like a couple of minutes of mental wilderness, and almost like going, okay, give me something, seeing what comes up, and this is, you know, this can be useful, or rather easier to do with people that have got a belief system, people that believe in a God or whatever. But even if you don't, if you could step into a spot which was represented for you, like a spotlight of dharma, of purpose, of your highest mission.
Stepping into a vacuum and just waiting.
Yeah, and just and you, but a place where it was like you would receive information. What would happen? Just so it's like giving your sort of setting up a little mechanism, a little exercise for yourself, just to see what happens. Maybe nothing happens, but then if you do get anything, and you feel, you know, if you were filled with that sense of purpose, what would that be like? And then if you took that sense of purpose then and then stepped into your values with that sense of purpose coming with you, how would that change? Would that update any of your values, or would it just bolster? Would it amplify those values? If you took all of that and then you know, thought about, well, what would my beliefs be if I was a purposeful person? You know, well, I believe this. Okay, we'll try them on. See what they're like. And then if you had all of that, and you thought then about, well, what are my skills and my abilities and what my capabilities are now? If I'm filled with purpose, what am I capable of now? And then leading to you know, a much more fleshed out experience of what it might be like to have purpose. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's certainly like, and that's an actual process that I'll use with people that, you know, I've had great I've had great successes. That sounded awful, although that was my first thought, that my clients have had, you know, I mean, like pretty life-changing experiences, that they've gone on to become an author, or they've gone on to you know, write, or something like that. So it's powerful work if you let it. If you just go do it flippantly, then of course it's not going to be. It's where you place your awareness. Yeah.
Well, you have to be committed. I've just got to say, if I'm waving occasionally, it's just sending the mosquitoes away from me.
Wax on, wax off.
Go away, mosquitoes. Yeah. My blood's not good for you. It's good for me, not them. No, I really liked that, and I did have my own little journey with you there. So I'm hoping
Okay.
that people did as well, because it's always good to go back into the space of just being receptive to somebody giving you a little bit of learning. And really, that's what this conversation is about. And if there's anything that people can take from this that makes them think, feel differently, and hopefully behave differently, then that would be a really cool thing, I think. Don't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, I'm not doing it because I like the sound of my own voice. I'm doing it because hopefully some of the, I don't know what I'm saying. I just open my mouth and just let it come out. I'm not that together. It's like the Batman film, the Joker says, "Do I look like a guy with a plan?" And we've had this very discussion, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
he's got a plan. He's just not telling us because it's very sneaky and covert. But
yeah, so
that's it.
but yeah, so hopefully someone will get something from it, and if they don't, then well, at least I hope it was entertaining.
Well, for sure, people will have got things from this conversation. I mean, if you're like me, then every time you have a conversation, you get some juice from it. And then you can take that juice into the rest of the day and think, well, what can I do with that?
Yeah.
So if anyone has listened to this and got a little bit more purposeful, full of purpose in their thinking, then for me, that would be a really good thing. And it's just to know that whatever your purpose is, whether you think it's small, medium, large, or extra large, actually it's fucking huge, because it's your purpose, and it's your purpose that counts. And actually it doesn't matter what I think of that or what you think of that, it's how they sit in the space of knowing what their purpose is.
Yeah. And I think also that whereas I hopefully didn't scare people off the idea of attaining a purpose or living out the purpose, or saying it should be monumental and almost like it's almost too much for you. The thing to remember is, when you're connected to that sense of purpose, like, I mean, genuinely and viscerally connected, like it's something that you actually feel, that you know in your head, your heart, and your gut, etc. That is almost like a shield. That is like your resilience aura that will protect you. That sounds awful, but that will bring you through, drive you through those times of trial and hardship. And you might have to remind yourself, why am I here? Why am I doing this to myself? Oh yeah, it's because I want to do X, Y, and Z. Whatever X, Y, and Z was. So there's a thing that I always harken onto, a piece of, and it's not technically about purpose, but there were two groups. It was a little study that was done, and they had one room of people that had to dip their hand in a bucket of ice and see how long they lasted, and then another group of people that they had to do exactly the same, but before they did that, they were said, like, what do you do? What are your activities? What excites you? What motivates you in life? And they'd go, oh yeah, I love to go mountain climbing, or I love to go skiing, and I love this about it. And when those people were lit up, and then they put their hand in the ice water, then they lasted longer, because they were like, they were connected to that strong sense of engagement with life. That was like, yeah, I can put up that.
And of course, producing the right brain chemicals to help you stay in that space.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's an important thing for people to think about as well, is the brain chemicals that we're creating. We are our own bartenders, so we can decide what we're going to live on and how juicy we're going to get each and every day, and whatever thoughts that we're having. And that's okay too. I want to go back a bit, just because you talked about fear, and I think it's important for people to understand that feeling fearful is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what you fucking do with that fear, whether you go, right, okay, I'm fucking having the doors off this, and other times you can sit and you can be a little bit vulnerable and a little bit scary, and you think, well, how am I going to get around this fear? And generally the easiest way is to just kick the fucking doors down, but that's also a sense of self and belief, right, and growing into that space.
Yeah, bravery is basically, and courage is
hold on 1 second, because I'm going to be interrupted. James, I'm actually on a Zoom call. Okay.
That's why it's not starting.
Okay.
So you need to get some fuel.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Oh, welcome to Antigua Life. Sorry. Thank you.
That's brilliant. No. So bravery and courage. You know, if you had to ask me what the difference was between them, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But for me, it's being able to continue down a journey that could potentially lead you to risk, to harm, to suffering to some degree, but you're still going to do it anyway because the outcome or the purpose of that particular activity is worth it. Maybe worth it to you, worth it to other people. So it's like it doesn't mean that it's going to be sunshine and roses, to use that sort of like that famous quote, but it means that having that sense of purpose, reminding yourself that you have that sense of purpose, and reconnecting to that more importantly, is something that's going to help you and aid you. And the other thing I'd say, just really briefly, is that you don't have to. It's very romantic, this idea that it's like the hero's journey. It's a quest, and only they can do it. That's bullshit. You get some help. Get some help. I was speaking to a paratrooper before this call for the charity that I work for, and it's like the paras are taught basically to almost be like one man armies, and I said, well, that's fine, but if you had to lay siege to a town, you get artillery support, you get air support, you get communication support. You wouldn't just run gung ho with a band, what's it called, a bandolero, whatever it is, of grenades, and just run into the village. You'd be deleted within the first 10 seconds of engagement. So it's about understanding, doing a gap analysis, of going, right, my training, my skills at this are shit, they're terrible, so this is a gap that I need to fill. That doesn't mean I'm a bad puppy, or that I'm never going to be anything or anything. It just means there's a skill in my gap. There's a gap in my skills. I need to fill that. I need to do that by getting external advice from a coach, from a trainer, from an online thing, from whatever, from reading, whatever, from another source, from another stimulus, to fill that gap, to allow you to learn and practice to fill that gap. So it doesn't have to be
a support system, right? It's
absolutely
the system, and we can't always be our own support. And I think it's really important that doing what we do, we recognise that actually we seek continual growth, learning, knowledge, and space to grow into. So I'm hoping that this has been really useful for people, full of use, and maybe it's made them think about how they can step into more purpose. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you? Where do they find you?
So I'm on Instagram as a little rock, all one word. There's a reason for that, which is pretty boring, but or I've got
a version of the reason for that, because I don't know it yet.
It's one of the meanings of the name Alan, which is my given first name, and it fits. And so a little rock on actually a little rock on YouTube and Instagram, and on Twitter, UK Breathe Therapy, but I don't do much on there. Usually post pictures of my dog or food, and because I don't really rate Twitter. But as far as my website, it's alanwhitton.co.uk, so you can find me on there.
There you go. It's been really lovely to have a purposeful talk with you today, and I'm sure
you too.
Reach out, and there you go. We'll do this again sometime.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Well, thanks everyone for listening in. Take care. Have a good day.
See you later. Cheers.